It's a very early morning this morning on Dartmoor. It's 5:15 now. Set my alarm for 3:30 this morning, so it's been an early rise. So I'm up at a place called Vixen Tor, which is just behind me on Dartmoor, and I've come up to use the Kase filter system. My Kase kit contains the new canine holder. I've also got a selection of graduate filters in 0.9 and 0.6 strength, 3 stop and 2 stop, and a selection of ND filters. And of course, one of the most important filters that I use quite often is the Polarizer as well. I've also got some black and white filters, an orange and a red, which I use in conjunction with my film cameras when I'm shooting film. But yeah, I'm going to get set up and see if I can capture this before the sun pops over the horizon. First and foremost, start with my adapter ring. This is the standard sort of 77mm ring. I use this for my 100 to 400 lens and my 17 to 40 as well, which I kind of use most of the time. So this just attaches to the front, and then my canine holder, and that's on now, and I can turn that around. And I've also got the little wheel on the side for the Polarizer as well. Now, in terms of filtration for this particular shot, I'm just going to use my grey grad, which is a 0.9 hard grad. You can see there the line of the graduate filter. It's a very definite line that I can bring the graduate down. The sky's pretty bright, I would say about at least 3 or 4 stops brighter than the land at the moment. You've got this lovely mist in the valley. The sun's not popped over the horizon yet, but still I'm going to need this this filter. So I'm not using a polarizer because I'm facing directly into the light where the sun's going to come up, so it's not really much use. So what I'm going to do is to put this grad in the rear of the holder, right against the gasket. I'll switch to my live view now and show you the effect of this filter. Now, one thing to note with graduate filters, and this demonstrates my point quite well here, if you look at my histogram, I've got a split histogram. Now, the right hand part of the histogram, that's my sky area or my highlight details, and then you've got this kind of split here, and the left hand part is the shadow detail, the landscape. Now, with the graduate filter, as I bring that down, watch the histogram change. You see how it groups the histogram together, it gives you a much more even exposure, and this is why I use the graduate filters. Now, some people would say that graduate filters as a whole don't have a place in digital photography these days. You know, why you can take a couple of shots and merge them together. Me personally, I prefer to use graduate filters when I'm actually taking the picture to control the contrast, especially for scenes like this where you've got like a bright sky. I find them very useful. It gets the picture right in camera rather than doing it later in the computer. So I've always used graduate filters, and I probably always will. And like I say, having the different strengths as well is handy for different conditions. So I tend to use a 0.6 mainly in hard and soft graduation. I'm using a 0.9 this morning because it's quite bright in the sky. But it's sometimes a 0.9 is too strong, but in this particular situation it's not too bad. Now you can see the shot that I've taken before. This was before I've used the graduate filter, and you can see that the sky is there's lacking detail. Now combine this now with the shot that I've just taken with the graduate filter, and you can see that this shot is much better. It's got more definition in the sky, and it just works a lot better. Now, the Polarizer is another filter that I use quite often. The Kase Polarizer literally clips onto the ring magnetically. Once that's on, you can either turn it without the holder, but also the holder itself sits over the ring, which covers the Polarizer as well, so you can use that independently of the Polarizer. Once the Polarizer is on as well, you've got this little wheel on the side, and you can turn that round to rotate the Polarizer very handy little feature. So you can take this on and off. All your other filters are always at the front of the holder. Now I sometimes combine the polarizer with a graduate filter. Here we've got the 0.6, so as I bring that down, just my exposure a bit, just holds in that detail in the sky as well. I also use my filters when I'm shooting film. As you can see from these shots, I tend to use a combination of neutral density graduate filters and ND filters as well. Occasionally use the polarizer, but with a lot of the black and white shots that I'm doing, I tend to use just the NDs and the graduates. The ND filters, I've got 3 strengths. I've got a 10 stop, a 6 stop and a 4 stop. I love the effect that you get with these, where it extends the exposure, especially for the black and white work. Well, that 3:30 alarm call's catching up with me already, so I'm going to pack up now. The light's getting a bit harsh now.